It's a night of returns on this Friday, and Todd and I will talk about that and look ahead to next week's two-start pitchers on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We are brought to you by Vivid Seats. I'm Clay Link of RotoWire.com, here with FSWA Hall of Famer Todd Zola. And Todd, as I mentioned, a night of returns. We have Pablo Lopez activated off the IL to start tonight. And then for the Mets, both Francisco Alvarez and Jeff McNeil back. So some, not, I guess aside from Pablo Lopez, not huge names, but some potential impact players back in action tonight.
Alvarez, for sure. Catching is such a, flighty kind of position. I think Alvarez can help. McNeil remains to be seen. I think we're projecting him for the strong side of a second-place platoon, but hitting low in the order. So does that put you borderline 15-team, 12-team? You don't have to worry about it in mixed league. AL and NL only, obviously, that's good. But, yeah, we'll see what McNeil can do. McNeil hit well in AAA, in rehab, combined three levels. So, I mean, it's a good – let's get a look at him, see what happens this weekend, but he can help a lineup.
Brett Beatty sent down as a corresponding move. He'd finally started to get hot, but he had been struggling to start the year, so opted to keep Luis Angel Acuna over Brett Beatty. But I think we'll see Beatty again soon.
Not that Francisco Lindor is going to need too much time off unless he has another kid on the way, which I don't think is going to happen so soon because it was only been a couple of weeks. But the point being, Acuna could be a little shortstop too. So it's nice to have a little bit of backup at that position. Well, Beatty dabbles, but I can see where they're keeping Acuna. Plus Acuna using pinch running, right? And the ghost runner, if you will, Manfred Man. So I think he's got a little bit more utility.
Yeah, the Mets on the road this weekend at Washington, but what a home start for them.
Yeah.
They've just been off the charts at home. The Citi Field faithful just going crazy. And Lindor, a big part of that, he's given them plenty of reasons to cheer, Francisco Lindor.
Lately,
And they seem to be really behind him, maybe giving him the C on his jersey. Maybe when David Wright's numbers retired, he passes it on.
I missed that. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean,
just rumors on Twitter, but
certain organizations, that's a big deal, and I think that's interesting. This is a club that's got Juan Soto on it for the next 50 years.
Yeah, and he hasn't even gotten hot yet, so they're
he hasn't.
Pretty good shape as a team, the New York Mets. Well, Todd, the RotoWire Stake League had our fab pickups last night, as usual, and the big ticket item was Chandler Simpson. Picked up in a lot of leagues last weekend, but still available here. He goes for 34 out of 100, so a third of the budget. And I was only about at $8. I had an $8 bid on Simpson, and I need steals. But in a roto league like this, the steals help. But he's a flawed player. Only one career homer as a professional, and that was an inside the Parker, I believe, at Double-A last year.
Yeah.
And I know with mathematics we can figure it out, but just off the cuff it's kind of tough to figure out, okay, he's going to help me here, but how much of that is negated by his drag in the other categories? And I just think that's significant when you're sacrificing so much for those steals. So I was well below him last weekend and then here in this league as well.
It's understandable. There's context. We don't talk a lot about daily leagues, but I would love Simpson in a daily league, put him in there on a Monday or a Thursday when the rest of the lineup, assuming Tampa plays, when the rest of the lineup is missing people because of a truncated schedule. I think he's perfect for that. But when, not many more. A lot of leagues are like that, to be honest, but maybe not in our listening audience.
Yeah, he's, again, a player that could help you a lot in that one category, and he's got a couple steals already. Off to a decent start as far as batting average, but
I think flawed is an interesting term because in our sense, in an analytical sense, he's flawed, but he does what he's supposed to do as a player. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He's supposed to put the bat in the ball and run really fast. Now we want more lift, we want more power for the ideal player. So it's flawed in our sense, but he's doing what he needs to be doing as within himself. It's kind of an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, it does seem like maybe he's on the bench against left-handed pitching as he was on Wednesday. Maybe a platoon role, pretty much negligible power. So I just, I kind of wanted him, but I was not aggressive,
especially at home. We don't. They were on turf and obviously Tropicana. Well, they're going in grass, but this is grass. It's outside. I mean, it's a very hard surface.
Mm-hmm.
So the benefits of moving to the natural grass isn't as great as it may be somewhere else. Although it rains, I think Sacramento we're a little more worried. But Tampa, it does rain to soften up. But anyway, I think Simpson isn't a bad pickup contextually. I'm not surprised someone paid 34. I don't think it's a guarantee that he even gets 34 steals, right? So
yeah. Well, I think there's a chance too that he heads down at some point.
Right now are helping his cause, so he has the opportunity to make a difficult decision for the Rays. But they have alternatives once the troops get healthy.
Yes, very true. And then Hunter Goodman. Up here for 14, rostered in most 2-catcher leagues, but it was out there here. And the drop on that move was Zach Veen.
Yeah.
Sat down, and I believe, not to toot my own horn. I don't like to do that. I believe I said on the show I wouldn't be surprised if the Rockies optioned Veen. And that is exactly what happened. Rough start for him. He was striking out a ton, and 424 OPS for Veen, only 1 steal, 1 homer. So the Rockies don't really have any reason to keep turning to these vets, but they're still not willing to cut a guy like Veen loose, which, try to make sense of this Rockies team is futile.
Oh, don't. This is my Medio commercial. This is my brain on drugs. That's looking at the Rockies. Now, the Veen and Goodman mood are somewhat connected in that Veen being sent down clears up some designated hitter spots for Hunter Goodman. So his playing time could increase a little bit with this move. They don't have an entire week at home for a little while, but in half weeks you want Goodman in the lineup.
Yeah, playing the Reds at home this weekend.
Yes, they are.
Expecting a lot of scoring. David Bednar picked up for 12, and he kind of came back from the minors, and it kind of looked like maybe he could wrestle that job away pretty quickly, and he has returned with 3 scoreless innings.
I mean, offhand, like, what if closers that have the job that emerge, do they go for more than 12? I mean, 12.
Well, actually, I got Dennis Santana a few weeks ago for 18. Actually, so
that seems to be a pretty good speculative. More than a 1 or 2, keep it safe bid, but it's I think that was a nice price.
Yeah, actually, I kind of regret not being more in on him because again, I have Dennis Santana, so. They haven't reinstalled Bednar quite yet. It's not like he came up and was immediately the closer again. But.
He's pitching a little better than Alexis Diaz. They're kind of in the same boat to me, right? Scenario.
Diaz. Oh, I don't know.
Bednar is showing more promise than Diaz at this point.
I don't know about Diaz because watching him against the Marlins earlier this week, the Marlins stole like 4 bases in the 1 inning he pitched.
Word gets around, doesn't it?
Yeah, they just took advantage of him on the base paths. Augustine Ramirez stole a bag. I think it was 4 in one single inning.
He's got a little speed for catching. I mean, it's not like it's not
pretty
like Alejandro Kirk stealing a bag or whatever. Which I think is kind of cool to mention that about Ramirez, taking advantage of possibilities of that nature. But it's as if all this information is publicly available. That such and such catcher is easy to run on.
Well, yeah, and with Diaz, he was so slow to the plate, And
he's not quite at the point yet where you can say, "I don't care," and just strike the next guy out.
Yeah, I don't think he's anywhere close to the closer role, Alexis Diaz.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're holding him, I mean, who knows? It could change. And Terry Francona has said he wants Diaz to be that guy again, but it's just whether it's the hamstring or whatever it is, the command is off and way too slow to the plate right now. Ryan Gusto goes for 12. Jake Irvin for 12 last night in the RotoWire Stake League. Nolan Gorman for 7. JT Ginn, I had a bid on him, then I lowered it because he struggled last night. I looked at the box score, and he'd given up 3 homers and 3 2/3 innings. So I had him. I think I was about 3 or 4, and then I lowered it. Ends up going for 6. Starting pitching is hard to find in this league, so I get it. Then Augustine Ramirez, who we talked about, goes for 5. I was right behind him at 4. I think Eric Halterman got Augustine Ramirez.
That's a nice. I think it's an interesting pickup.
It is, again, only a 1-catcher league, so probably triple it this weekend in your 2.
Yeah, good call. Good call. But even
really impressive league, for Ramirez.
I mean, it's an 16 or 18 team league, right?
16, yeah.
That's still that's top half of the league. That's I think that's going to end up being a good price. Why? Who's going to play? I mean, he's going to play, I think, at this point.
And batting high up in the order too, right away, and 3 doubles already for Ramirez in 2 games. That's pretty good. Just 5 for 6, with the steal and 2 walks. So yeah, Augustine Ramirez. I know he was kind of a high prospect, and now getting his chance and already kind of making good on that promise. Yep. Jeff McNeil, who we talked about at $4, he's back, and then Will Vest. Got to mention in our chat already here from Uncle Ted, and Will Vest only $4, and it just seems like that Detroit bullpen picture is pretty muddled. Was Tommy Kahnle looking like the guy for a while, but Kahnle's been pitching some setup innings recently.
Yeah.
Got a hold on the 23rd, blown save on the 20th. So Will Vest definitely named to keep in mind. And then my pickups were Emerson Hancock for 2. He's got a little bit more of a runway here with George Kirby still out a little while yet, and coming off a career high 7 strikeouts for Hancock. And most importantly, with the way our lineup periods are, he lines up to face the Angels at home. So I'm going to be going with Hancock over like Andre Payante against the Reds next week. So Hancock, hasn't had a ton of major league success, but may have found something. And then my other pickup was Joe Boyle at $1. And I just think it's a matter of time before Boyle's in that Rays rotation on a more permanent basis, don't you think?
I think there's little reason to think otherwise.
Yeah, Littell's still lined up for this weekend at San Diego. Could be the final nail for him.
He's a good pitcher. It's just not working this year. It's just not happening. I was impressed with Taj Bradley this week, but Littell, it hasn't happened. I guess he got a quality start last time out, but he only fanned 2, walked 1, and in a quality start, he gave up 2 homers. Lucky that people weren't on base, or it wouldn't have been a quality start. There's
given up 8 homers, Littell, in 29 innings.
And that was. That was going homerless in his first start. So, yeah, I mean, the Rays fix people, but he's not the kind of guy that I'm waiting around for. And I like what Boyle's been doing. I think it was a good call.
Yeah, I like the upside with Boyle, even if I have to sit and wait on him for a little bit. But he had like a no-hit streak going between the majors and the AAA. So,
yeah,
trying to dig up his box score or his game log right now.
He last pitched in the 19th, 6 innings, 7 Ks, 2 walks, no runs. He hasn't given up any runs. That's 10 innings in the minors.
He hasn't given up a hit in his last 10 innings or last 11 innings in the minors.
Okay, so yeah, 6 innings. Yeah, so Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Like what we say, fireballer. Little surprised that the Athletics gave him up, but it's one of those things. Tampa wants you. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah, so I could definitely use some help on the starting pitching side. So
yeah,
he made a lot of sense for me. How about Luke Keeschall, by the way? He was already picked up last week. Man, I threw in an initial projection for him. Projected him for 5 steals. He matched that in a couple days. I think it was actually the major league record for the most steals in a player's first however many games. He reached 5. So he already batting 3rd regularly for the Twins. Looks like if you already got him, Yeah, it looks like a nice ad, and if he's still out there, he should probably get aggressive. Yeah, 5 steals through 5 games. Most steals for a player through 5 games since at least 1901. Pretty amazing for Luke Keyshaw.
Been doing a lot of designated hitting, right? If I
Yeah,
recall.
yeah. Batting third
Um,
is the DH a lot. Yeah.
yeah. So 4 of those steals were in 2 per 2 games against the White Sox. Like we are joking, word gets around, different catchers, different batteries. It's easier to run. This is why one reason you're bringing up Cuero. Well, Cuero's not a good defensive catcher, better known for the bat, but maybe that's why we're running. But just as impressive with Keyshaw. I mean, you can't steal if you're not on base. 5 walks in 4 games. That's I'll take that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, we don't know long term his role is necessarily, but the fact that he's already batting third seems to me that he's already ingratiated himself pretty well, and
yeah,
already the coaching staff thinks really highly of him.
yeah. Castro is out they backdated it. He could be coming back, I think, early May. Willie Castro. That's the kind of role that Keyshaw may play. The jack of all trades. Edward Julian's actually picking it up a little bit, batting a little leadoff. So the Twins find ways. Rocco Baldelli finds a way to keep everybody in the lineup. So we'll see. Right now, Larnach is playing a little outfield because Matt Wallner's still out, which is why Keyshaw's been doing a lot of DHing.
Yeah, not available in this league, but Noelvi Marte picked up in a lot of CBS leagues, and man, if this guy comes on, that's a game changer for the Reds. Had a absolute blast against the Marlins this week. I think it was about 117 off the bat. You don't see that kind of exavelo often for the Reds. So I'm kind of thinking, especially with Jamer Candelario really struggling, a guy like Spencer Steer not really healthy and struggling. Feels to me like why not just ride Marte, who's coming off that essentially lost season with that suspension, but still a lot of upside.
He kind of didn't, just in some people's eyes, I guess rightfully so, needed to prove that he was a ball player unto himself, if you will. Didn't need any help. And he struggled when he first came back. So people raised an eyebrow. Well, he's kind of showed that he's okay now. So yeah, I jump all over it. Right-handed batter, but he's played against against every righty that he's faced so far. And we got, as you mentioned, the Reds. We got Coors Field this week, and we got Kyle Freeland tonight against the lefty. I think you want Martino. If Marte keeps hitting these fly balls, you may have to knock him out to get him out of Coors Field come Monday.
Yeah, the
Mr.
Rockies.
Mr. T and the A team to get him on a plane.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the Reds can do. They need to show what offensively. They need to show out. I'd like to see a little more from Matt McLain. It's kind of since his return has been a little meh.
Ellie made a diving play the other night,
God,
and it's just like that's not fair. You can't hit the ball that well, run that fast, and make a diving play of that. You shouldn't be able to do all three.
He's made quite a few errors this year, but he makes up for it with the spectacular, highlight catches. He's actually an unreal player, but already up to 10 steals too for Ellie. And how about Austin? Or was it Austin Wins? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I don't recommend you go chasing here, but I did pick him up in Derek Van Riper's Maki League, where I just kind of had a dead spot with Jake Rogers at the second catcher, just because they're going into Coors and he's absolutely killing it lately. Don't expect the Reds to put up 3 touchdowns and a field goal again this season.
That was wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was kind of sad for Charlie Morton. Like, the end, but they are trotting him out again.
So you mentioned wins. Stevenson is due back by the end of the month, right? He's on a rehab. So he'll miss Coors, but he could be back next week.
Yeah, I wonder if the Reds go with 3 catches for a bit. Wins could just be sent down, but maybe Stevenson could play some first and some DH.
Yeah.
Allow them to keep all 3 catches.
They like Trevino's. I mean, Trevino, he signed into an extension and he's like really old. Well, I should talk about really old. So that means something. So yeah, I think that could be a good call that Stevenson does play a little bit of DH, a little bit of first base, because you can bet when you backfield with Jose Trevino, then you're doing all right.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's pause briefly. We will get to our 2-star pitchers here momentarily, but we'll pause for a quick word from our sponsors. All right, we're back here on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Clay, Link, and Todd Zola, glad to have you with us on this Friday, April 25th, and we're looking ahead to the week of April 28th. Final week of April upon us already, and you can follow along with us by going to our probable pitchers page. Go to a custom start date of April 28th, show starters, and our 2-star pitchers are clearly highlighted there. And number 1 on the list is Eduardo Rodriguez, Erod. Been around for ages, and then suddenly this year the K's are up. So don't know how much I'm buying into that given his track record, but he has struck out 34 in just 28 and 2/3 innings. Only had 47 and 50 innings last year. So sudden jump in K's. I'd like to know if there's a reason behind this, but at the Mets, at the Phillies, kind of a tough 2-step, even though Citi Field is spacious. But
couldn't health just be the reason? Health and peace of mind.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 3 here.
I'm going to go 3 as well. The Phillies. I mean, one of these days when we say the Phillies start scares me, it's because they're hitting, but they're not hitting right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think there must be something tangible behind what Erod is doing, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's just being removed a little bit from the injuries and having some peace of mind. He's able to settle in a little bit. Maybe the Mets, though, at home could get to him. And the Phillies, at Phillies, always a tough matchup. For the Sacramento A's, J.P. Sears and J.T. Ginn. Mentioned that Ginn gave up 3 homers last night. They're going to be at Texas, at Miami. Not a bad 2-step. Sears, the lefty, 3.21 ERA so far for Sears, 3-2 record. Love to see them bringing up Nick Kurtz this week, by the way.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And
what about the fact that they're playing Soderstrom in left and Rooker at DH? That tells you what they think of Rooker's defense.
Yeah, no kidding.
I read between the lines. They don't like Rooker. He has 3 games. He's going to get 5 and eventually 10. He just will. But to me, putting Soderstrom in left field says they don't trust Rooker out there.
Yeah, good point. I think here I'm going to go Sears 2, Ginn 1. Because the matchup
so
in
weird.
Miami is kind of appealing, but that's about as high as I can go.
It's so weird looking at a 2-step on the road for an athletics pitcher and thinking, too bad they're not at home, and actually glad they're on the road. Yeah. I'm going to go 2-1 as well. I can see, if one maybe in a 12 they may be available. I can see putting them on a string.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Now for the Atlanta Braves, they lost Spencer Strider again. That was fun while it lasted, wasn't it? Ugh. Comes back. If you're stashing him, you deploy him right away for one mediocre start. Then he straightens his hamstring playing catch.
Caught a spike.
Yeah, was that it? Yeah, I knew it was like a freak accident. But
yeah, I mean, I strained my hamstring getting out of bed, but it's not really the same thing.
Well, glad you didn't get scratched today. Right now we have AJ Smith-Shawver in, and at Colorado is B up first. So, I don't hate Smith-Shawver as a talent, but here would be a 0 for me.
Yeah, Colorado and the Dodgers. Yeah, to me it's a Dodgers. 0. I'm still on the Smith-Shawver bandwagon for the future. He hasn't hit the ground running yet, but yeah, this is a 0 right here. And it's unofficial, right? We're assuming.
Yeah, that's extremely tentative. Yeah, it's good to point out for sure.
And if it's Dylan Dodds, that's a 0 too.
Yeah, pretty much a 0 no matter who you plug in there. But yeah, that's a huge blow for the Atlanta Braves, and they need to get Sale going. He's at Colorado next week. That's not really where you want to try to get going. Now, Tomoyuki Sagano's kind of developing a new nickname for himself, Cruz Gano. I don't really know that it really works that well, but he has, after some initial struggles his last time out, did go into cruise control Sagano and not striking out many batters.
Yeah, that's the thing, though.
Yeah, but he has been serviceable.
It's a slippery slope. Usually you're successful until you're not.
Yeah.
But as a veteran, coming over, I mean, Can he defeat the peripherals? I don't know. All right, Yankees. I mean, to me, this is I can't go three. I'm gonna go two. I'm using them. I mean, I have them a lot of places. I'm gonna use them, but I still want to see him miss more bats.
Yeah, my take kind of take some stones to throw him out there this week with the Yankees due up at home and then Kansas City coming into Baltimore. But I'm with you. I think on two, you kind of just have to grit and bear it with him on this one because, again, the K's are low and it could turn ugly in a hurry. But so far, so good for Sagano. Now, Garrett Crochet had a pretty disappointing outing yesterday.
And he said so.
Yeah, struggled with his command. I was expecting good things against Seattle, but only 5 innings, 5 walks, and 4 earned runs. 9 Ks, of course, still. But at Toronto versus Min, is he going to be a 5 for you?
He's still a 5. I mean, to me, it was a he was upset because he's the stopper and he didn't. There was a bit of a losing streak.
Yeah.
So I like that. When he kind of put it on himself. Yeah, to me, he's still a 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then Shota Imanaga at Pitt at Milwaukee. Little NL Central 2-step here. And until further notice, I don't really see any reason that Imanaga should not be a 5.
I think he's borderline. I'm gonna go 5. I'm gonna go yeah. But I mean, to me, he's in that 4 or 5 borderline.
Ted says that a left-hander in Toronto is playing with fire in relation to Crochet. I think, generally that's the case, but I don't think you're playing with fire with Crochet. I don't think that phrase can really be used to describe Crochet this week, playing with fire. But, for the Reds, Nick Martinez and Brady Singer. As a fan, I was happy when the Reds gave Nick Martinez that qualifying offer. I'm still happy with it. It's not my money. After the year he had, they had to bolster that rotation. And, good on him for at least trying to, for making the move to keep the guy around. But 0-3 with a 5.40 ERA, it has not been, the Nick Martinez of last year at all. It's been a stark contrast, in fact. And already 9 walks and 26 2/3 innings. That's halfway to his total from last year in terms of walks and 142 in the 3rd inning. So suddenly maybe losing some faith in his stuff, some trust in his own abilities, and not filling up the strike zone. Nick Martinez versus St. Louis versus Washington. I think I'm going to go 1. I don't even feel good about that.
Yeah, I need to do a little bit of a deep dive on Martinez to see, is he, now that he's a starter and only a starter, is he changing the repertoire? Is he doing things a little differently? I do like the matchups, though, even though it's at home. Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go 1, but we're at that point of the year where you're battling between what he's done and what you expect, because you need to start rolling in what he's done.
Yeah.
After 4, 5, 6 starts. Yeah, I'm going to go 1. Singer, I like. I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, Singer's been on the other side of the coin. He's been fantastic.
Maybe people go higher, but until I see a little more strikeouts, I'm going to go 3.
I'm with you there. Then Tanner Bybee, been a pretty big disappointment so far, both for the Cleveland Guardians and for fantasy managers. 5.19 ERA versus Minnesota at Toronto. Any idea here what's going on with Bybee? I mean, he's walking the world here.
It's just any pitcher that's named Tanner is just you don't want right now.
I mean, he's not only is he walking the world, he's given up 8 homers in 20.
Yeah, I'm a little more surprised about Tanner Bybee than I'm surprised about Tanner Houck as well. I maybe it's too much trust in Cleveland to turn things around, but I expect a turnaround. And I'm going to start him this week. I mean, I'm kind of invested if I have him. I don't think you sit him for this 2-step, but that's me being aggressive, and I'm kind of on an island with that. I don't want to wait until he gets it in gear. I don't want to have those starts on my bench.
Mm-hmm.
It probably ends up 50-50, working out and not working out, but you only remember the times it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to do a deeper dive. What's the velocity? What's going on there? But I'm going to go 3. I mean, he was a 4.5 coming into the year, so it's a downgrade.
Yeah, I'm still going 3 as well. I mean, the walks and homer is really troubling, but I mean, I haven't seen enough to completely drive me off of Bybee. I really like the talent, so I
Yeah.
just gotta hope he gets it on track this week. And then Luis L. Ortiz for Cleveland,
Hmm.
same 2-step for him versus Minnesota
Hmm.
at Toronto. Was showing a little bit, and then the
Yeah.
control
He's a
issues came
tease.
back.
Bit of a tease.
Control issues came back with 5 walks his last time out, but over his last 3 starts, he does have 26 strikeouts in just
Yeah.
15 innings.
I'm gonna go 2. I can't put him on the same par as Bybee, so I'm gonna go 2.
Yeah, somebody that I might look to pick up though, because while the walks are frustrating, anybody with that kind of K ability,
Yeah, just click on the right one.
interesting.
No, click on a different Louis Ortiz.
Yeah, Luis L. Ortiz, good, good to mention.
And most services are having that's what he's using as his name now.
Mhm.
So it's hard to mess it up. Well, no,
Uh,
easy for me, but hard for most people.
Herman Marquez and this whole Rockies team, just a disaster. Marquez 0-4 with a 9.30 ERA. He's got a home start against the A's, and at San Francisco, it's going to be a 0.
Yep.
And this is coming from a guy who, at one point was in on him many years ago, and
Yep.
I learned my lesson there.
Good.
So,
Chuck you off the list. Like now I get 32 million more.
Yeah, all those Chase DeLander managers. I picked him up DeLander in points league. I was thinking, yeah, points league, I can manage. Then he, hangs a negative, and it's like, well, maybe he's not passable in a points league. For the White Sox, we have Bryce Wilson in there right now, and he only went 2 2/3 innings in a spot start, not really stretched out at all, and tentative if he even makes these starts. So Bryce Wilson will be a 0.
Yeah, I was doing some updating of playing time today, and with Perez out, it's tough to find 162 starts for the White Sox, and that's giving Wilson 15, 16, or 20 of them. Maybe they bring up their kids. Maybe Nick Destrani comes up. I'll think of the name. There
Noah
was
Schultz.
Yeah, that's the rookie. There's another Justin Dunn is another veteran they have that's been starting. So there are names there. No one's exciting, but I'm hoping we got some good friends that are White Sox fans. I'm kind of hoping that maybe this time next year, maybe the year after, knock on wood, we're still doing this. We're talking about a completely different White Sox club.
Yeah, congrats to Shane Smith on his first big league win yesterday. Rule 5 pick, first pick in the Rule 5 draft last winter. It's been a nice find so far for the White Sox.
Yep.
So that's a positive. For the Detroit Tigers, Jack Flaherty and Reese Olson, they're at Houston, at the Angels. I don't think Flaherty's a 5, but probably a high-end 4. What say you?
I agree. I think he should be a 5. I'm a little curious. I'm going to go Olson with a 3. He's a guy that you have to think about the matchups. Olson going even from like 2 to 4. Like that's a big range. He could go from 2 to 4. This time I'm in the middle with a 3.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good call. No 2-star pitchers for the Houston Astros.
We'll see, right? We'll see. Anytime that you have McCullers in there, you have to say we'll see.
Yeah, very tentative on McCullers, but he is expected to make a rehab start at AA Corpus Christi this Saturday, so it could end up being back, but very tentative. If there is a 2-star pitcher, it'll be Ronel Blanco. And then Cole Reagans for the Kansas City Royals at Tampa Bay, at Baltimore.
Maybe.
Yeah, why you say maybe
3 innings?
That's right. Yeah, groin issue.
And he pitched poorly before that, and he pitched poorly in his previous game. There's been no word. I'm not reading. Don't read between. Don't think I'm saying that that's why. There has been no word that that's why. But you got to wonder what's going on, pitching so poorly for 2 straight games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a little odd, but I'm going to go 5 just, unless you get word that something's going on.
If Kansas City feels enough to start him, I'm going to go 5. But let's see what ends up happening. We'll know. I would think we'll know well before Tuesday what the deal is.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the Angels, Jack Kohanowitz and the K's have not ramped up here. He's got 13 and 26 in the third, 5 homers. I'm hoping my guy Tomoyuki Sagano doesn't go the way of Kohanowitz here, but at Seattle versus Detroit. Man, those matchups aren't
You like these
terrible.
matchups, right? We're
Yeah,
tempted. But like some people call him Jack K because they don't look the pronunciation for Kahanowitz.
yeah,
Kahanowitz. I just call him Jack No K. Um,
that's
but
perfect. Actually.
gosh, you got to be tempted with these matchups.
Although Detroit isn't necessarily a good matchup anymore, are they?
They're not a pushover, but relative to other lineups, they're struggling a little bit. And it's at Angel Stadium, which is good for left-handed power. It's not a 0. I don't know how high up I'm going. I'm going to go 1. I can see instances where you're going to use him.
I get that he, keeps the ball down, and just until I see more, I got a 1 on Kohanowitz.
Yeah.
No 2-star pitchers for the Dodgers. They're doing that thing, keeping Yamamoto and Sasaki
Get
and
used to
Glass
saying
now.
that, right? You'll say that. Put that on loop.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule for those guys. Bad news on Blake Snell for them this week.
Yeah.
Really rough news on them. Maybe getting Clayton Kershaw back, though, before long. By the way, I saw Jack Caglione had a double against Kershaw. I love when those two different ends of the spectrum come together.
Was he like playing right field or something?
Yeah, finally getting some run in right field as of yesterday, I believe. Caglione. So still a double-A, but crushing it there. Maybe the Royals are preparing him for a call-up. Not imminent, I wouldn't think, but maybe in a month or two. I could see it.
He's forcing the issue a little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they just lack power completely, that Royals team.
And you're not going to get a ton of it in Kauffman, but you still need, the gap-to-gap double a run in. You still, maybe it's not home run power, but you still need to drive the ball.
Yeah, very true. And then for the Miami Marlins, Edward Cabrera, turns out those command issues aren't fixed, and they'll probably never be fixed at this point. He does show strikeout ability, but the walks, the homers just keep coming back. And at the Dodgers versus Atlanta, I think it's going to be 0. That's playing with fire right there.
I agree. I mean, there's strikeout upside, but it's not worth it. You could have 2 blow-ups. Sometimes you hope you get 1 blow-up and 1 nice one. Here, you could get 2 blow-ups.
Yeah, that would not be fun. Lighting your ratios on fire like that. All right, well, let's pause briefly. I'll bring you a quick word from our friends at Vivid Seats, then we'll get back to our 2-star pitchers for next week. Finally, baseball is back this MLB season. Knock it out of the park with Vivid Seats and score great tickets to the biggest games of the year. Every fastball, every home run, and every eye-popping play of your favorite team live and in person. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards, you can earn rewards with every single ticket purchase. Just buy 10 tickets, then cash in your credit toward your free 11th ticket. Talk about an easy win, and here's a pro reward tip. When buying your tickets for the whole group, split the bill and make progress towards your free 11th ticket even faster. From behind the dugout to the upper deck, Vivid Seats has great tickets for all the 2025 games that matter to you. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live. See vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions. We appreciate their sponsorship, and we are back to our 2-star pitcher grades.
I'm about to blow Clay's mind. He's going to go, what? Wow. For years, Miami marked the halfway point of this list. But with Oakland moving up to ATH alphabetically, we're 16/30th done.
Oh, wow.
We have to retrain to stop after the Dodgers and do the spots, huh?
That's true. Yeah. Good point.
I think we're okay.
I had never really done it mathematically like that. I'd always just
really? Oh, because I just know that Miami's halfway, just because all my lists and stuff. Yeah. I just know that they're the 15th team. Now they're the 16th, so it throws me on. Anyway, not big deal.
I just know I have to pause around this time. But good point. Mind. Good point. Actually, the other day it was funny. Not really funny, kind of sad actually. But I was looking for the Oakland depth chart on our back end, and I was just staring at the second half of the the back half of the teams where Oakland should be. I'm like, where the heck are
I've been down this road.
Man. Oh yeah, they're between Arizona and Atlanta now. with that ATH abbreviation.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be something with. No, they're still going to be in the top half once they're Vegas. So anyway,
we'll see when that happens. A couple of years, apparently. That's the hope, anyway. For the Milwaukee Brewers, this is going to be an easy one. Freddie Peralta's got to be a 5, right? He's got the White Sox due up and the Cubs at home.
I don't know. He must. Yes, he's a 5, and it just you must just marvel at the pitchers that keep being brought up and doing the job underneath them. It's wild what the Brewers are doing.
Uncle Ted mentioned Bubba Chandler's four-seamer. Is any news on Bubba Chandler? I'd like to see him pretty soon, personally. I've not seen anything to suggest he's coming up soon.
The Pirates they're Jones is hurt, obviously, but they got a good front end, and they got Harrington and Chandler. I mean, they're kind of like the White Sox. They're building on pitching. Curious to see. Now they're going to be compared to the Mariners about no hitting, but we'll see. I don't think Pirates are going to rush anybody, but Chandler could force the issue.
Bailey Falter has been dealing with a back issue, but is expected to start this week.
But it's Bailey Falter, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway,
not really the guy who keeps a guy like Bubba Chandler down.
And I'm going to mispronounce Ledzinski, who went
Ledzinski,
yeah, who went last night. Started out well, then just kind of gave it up in the 4th inning.
For the Minnesota Twins, Bailey Ober, Chris Paddock. Wondering if we could see Zebby Matthews at some point soon. Simeon Woods Richardson had an opener in front of him the other night, and just seems like there's an opportunity for him and Festa maybe to carve out spots long term.
Festa was just sent down.
Yeah, that's true. Bailey Ober's got an ERA north of 5, but at Cleveland, at Boston. I know you've been a long-time Bailey Ober guy, so I'm going to turn this one over to you to start.
Well, he may get the ERA under 5, but after the Red Sox light him up, no, I don't know. I'm still cautiously optimistic. This is what happened last year. It just took a long time for him to get down into the normal range. I expect to see it. So it's the whip that's scaring me more than anything else. ERA is going to happen when you give up home runs. It's the hits. Even with his rough year last year, 178 innings, he gave up only 136 hits. Back of the envelope math, 42 fewer hits than innings. He's given up 29 hits in 25 innings. So, and that's not all bad luck. Maybe it's some bad luck, batted ball, whims, but it's also not getting the job done. It's not putting hitters away when you need to.
Mm-hmm. So what number?
We have to grade the guy, huh? That's what we're here for. You don't want to talk about the NFL draft? I'm trying to. Boy, I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna go 3.
Okay, yeah, I got 3 on him and 0 on Paddock. Yeah, I don't see any reason for optimism on Paddock. So, Ober, I certainly see the case for holding out hope and continuing to stick by him in your active lineup, but not so much Paddock. You going 0 on Paddock?
Yeah. I mean, you pick out an individual inning, go, well, he looks good. Then you watch the other 4 and you realize why he's not doing well, Paddock.
True.
Yeah. To be fair, the Twins are giving him an opportunity. I just hope that they finally realize you mentioned Festa and Matthews, they have some people on the farm.
And then for the Mets, Griffin Canning and David Peterson. Canning's been a really nice
find. He though?
David Stearns getting a lot of love from the fan base for the Griffin Canning turnaround here at Washington, at St. Louis. I guess I'm going to go 3. At first, I felt that was a little high off the bat, but he's doing enough.
I'm thinking 4.
Wow, really?
I wish it was at home. Then it would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 3, which is still, I mean, for I don't want to use the word afterthought, but for a speculative pickup, a possible streamer, just to go 3 for 2 for 2 home tilts is an improvement.
And then David Peterson, he's got a little bit of a different two-step because
he's at home. Yeah,
he's at home against Arizona than at St. Louis. Let me see, what are the K's looking like for old David Peterson, the lefty? 28. About a strikeout per inning. Only 2 homers allowed in 27 and a third. I think I'm going to go 2 on Peterson.
I'm almost thinking I'm going to go 3, but I've got Canning rated higher.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. 3.4 to a 2.8, and I'm rounding up, or I'm rounding off.
As a guy who rosters Will Warren, I can't seem to press the right buttons with him. He has a great outing. I have him on my bench, and then he stinks it up. I have him in my lineup. At Baltimore versus Tampa Bay for Will Warren, a 4.79 ERA overall. I mean, I'm probably still starting him, but there's one league that I'm in, the FSGA league. It's a 13-team league. I'll probably sit him. So I think I'll go 2 here on Will Warren.
Oh gosh, I'm almost thinking it's less. I'm gonna go 1. I think we're still betting on the come a little bit, and the matchup's a little scary.
Yeah, I hear you on that. That's kind of a one where I'm invested, so maybe I'm a little too close to it. But if you zoom out, there's not really a ton to love. Now for the Phillies, weird situation here with Christopher Sanchez. Mentally, I kind of just checked him off. Like his outing the other day, I was like, okay, he's hurt. He's probably undergoing Tommy John when they announced it was left forearm soreness. And now they say, hey, he's fine. And actually, the manager for the Phillies, Rob Thompson, was like, yeah, the training staff says, Rob, he's fine. So we don't know when exactly Christopher Sanchez is going to be starting again, but hopefully we get some clarity before Monday.
And even the Suarez is tentative, right? Isn't he coming back, or is he already back?
Yeah, Ranger Suarez. If they have to push Sanchez back, I think Suarez could slide up to earlier in the week, but
yeah,
that's why we don't have any 2-star pitchers for Philly, because we do have Ranger Suarez set to return.
Right.
But Christopher Sanchez is such a big story.
I traded for him. Yeah, I traded for him in the XFL.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
I traded Trevor Story in Ty France, and I forget some scrub. It was a dump deal. I got Devers, Bichette, and Sanchez, and I had to give away my first-round draft pick. I'm wondering if between Story and France, France, I may have given away more than I'm getting back. But, this is a dump deal. I'm supposed to get better. They said, well, you know what? At least I got Sanchez. And then he gets hurt. Anyway, it's not about my XFL team.
I guess with Sanchez, I was trying to read into the quotes and dig around a little bit. Apparently, it was like his whole body was aching, and no MRI, which shocks me. At least not yet. But again, the quote from Rob Thompson was like, "Yeah, the training staff says he's fine." So
yeah, well,
we will see if he starts. On
the
schedule.
The underlying what we're not talking is he experienced a velocity increase this year, and it was down during the game in question. So that's where the big red flag or yellow flag comes in.
Well, the Pittsburgh Pirates, Andrew Heaney's got a 1.72 ERA.
Yeah, you think he'd be on the Mets with the way he's pitching.
Yeah, versus the Cubs, versus San Diego. A couple tough offenses, but both at home. I was tempted to go 3, but this feels a little bit like a trap to me, so I'm going to go 2.
I'm going to go 3 for Tim's brother from another mother.
I like it. All right, next up for San Diego, Nick Pivetta, and I was looking at the RotoWire earned auction values tool. Nick Pivetta, the number 1 pitcher,
isn't he? Yeah,
as of right now in terms of earned value, 4-1 with a 1.20 ERA versus San Francisco at Pitt. I think I'm ready to elevate Nick Pivetta to a 5.
I am as well. Now,
really brave of me. I know
there are 2 off days for the Padres, so there's a chance.
That
you look to extend and give Pivetta a little bit of a rest. We shall see.
I think they sent down Kyle Hart though today.
They did. Yeah. Which is maybe they want to stick with this plan.
Could be an indication that they're going 4 starters.
They could week. And want to keep, even though Hart's not doing well, keep him pitching because they wouldn't have used him for a while. I'm going to go 5 as well, and. Not surprising me what Pivetta is doing, but this is probably not going to be the week that he gets his comeuppance. But he goes through these stretches of home runs. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then the Seattle Mariners have 2 off days, but don't expect them to skip any of their starters after Emerson Hancock to start the week. So we'll move on to the Giants and Logan Webb, sub 2 ERA. He has to face Pavetta in those hot San Diego Padres on the road to start the week. Then he's home against Colorado. So Logan Webb's a 5.
Wow, he's striking batters out. He's a 5.
Yeah. I
Not
love
a
his
couple
little.
of Colorado strikes out. Maybe not so much with San Diego, but even so.
I enjoyed his little viral moment this week. I won't get into it, but if you saw it, it was kind of funny. Andre Payante, this guy, another guy I can't press the right buttons on. It just, he throws a scoreless outing and then he stinks it up.
Well, that's pitch to contact.
Yeah.
As I say, to me, pitch to contact is a misnomer because no one other than knuckleballer says, "Here, hit this." But I understand the expression.
But I'm getting what I signed up for because with all that contact, he is extremely volatile, and you have to expect that.
Yeah, it's almost. I mean, you don't want to just put him in there and let what happens and hope it evens out in the end. You still want to try to manage him. At Cincinnati's tough though, just because they could put 24 on you on any given day.
Yeah, or they could have one hit.
We'll go 3 games without scoring a run.
Yeah, they're Jekyll and Hyde.
Between those 3 1-0 games in the 24-run game, they average 6 runs a game.
I think they have like the best run differential. And let me double check on that. But those couple big games obviously boost your run differential big time.
Well, that's people look at run differential and they. Let's just do the Bill James Pythag and figure out what their record should be. Well, that's done at the back testing is done at the end of the year. You get all sorts, they're going to lose the Reds. I hate to tell you this, Clay, but they're going to lose like 13-1 at some point and cut that advantage in half, right? So it's a little early to start looking at the Pythag records based on run differential.
True. They are at plus 31 run differential, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess MLB down on their page does have an expected win loss.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that. So their expected win loss, according to MLB.com,
that's
16-9.
That's in the Pythag. Yeah.
Kind of interesting there. All right,
Pythag. A squared plus B squared is C squared. It's like the runs squared minus with runs given up squared. The equation. That's why it's called the Pythag because there's squaring and also. I'm trying not to get too deep into math, but
Pythagorean
Google
theorem.
It. Yeah,
I've heard of it. So in the week where in the stake league where we have different, Friday through Thursday, I'm starting Emerson Hancock over Payante because Payante doesn't have 2 starts here.
Oh, yeah.
But in a regular Monday through Sunday, he'd be at Cincinnati versus the Mets. I mentioned his low barrel rate, and you kind of mentioned, this is the ground ball rate. He's a ground ball pitcher. I do like that he avoids hard contact in theory, but I think I'm only going to go like a 1 here because it could blow up on you.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1.
That feels right for me.
I wanted to say 2, but I can't.
Taj Bradley of the Tampa Bay Rays feels like a pretty decent buy low to me. Do you agree on that?
Oh, I agree. I'm on Bradley, and maybe it's the eyes more than the numbers, but he looks the part.
Yeah, versus Kansas City at New York, you kind of dread that second one, especially if it's like a warm Sunday afternoon in the Bronx. But I think for now, I'm going to go 3 with bounce back potential here for Taj.
Yeah, finally on the road. There are the Rays. Yeah, I'm going to go 3.
And Patrick Corbin's got a 2-0 record, 3.77 ERA. We've been here many times. That 3.77 ERA comes with a 1.53 WHIP. So walking a very fine line right now, and I'm going to go 0 on Patrick Corbin.
But it's the Athletics at home and Seattle at home. I'm going -1. Trap game.
Yeah, that feels like an obvious trap. Now DeGrom though still winless on the season, but seems to be getting stretched out here. 7 innings on April 18th, 5 1/3. So still is not he reached 100 pitches in an outing and has only once cleared 90 pitches. So they've been pretty strict on keeping him limited here. But the Rains close to being off for DeGrom versus the Athletics versus Seattle. I think I'm going to still go 5 on DeGrom.
I'm not there yet. I'm
No.
going to go 4, but
Okay.
I think we're looking at 5 innings.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go 4, though. I don't know how much more at this point.
He stretched out enough to go 5 innings. He kind of has to be on his game, though. So
yeah, I mean, it's almost like he's going to throw 90 to 95 pitches. How many innings that gets him?
Yeah, home against the Athletics, home against Seattle, though I do like for Jacob deGrom next week. Then Bowden Francis versus the Red Sox versus Cleveland.
Home, both.
Yeah, he's been a nice stabilizing piece in this rotation so far. Pretty, they sent down. What was his name? Now I'm blanking on it. Let me look it up here. The guy who had a 0 ERA through his first 2 starts and got blown up. Easton Lucas. That's
Easton Lucas. Okay, yeah.
The lefty. So aside from him, their rotation has been, really pretty good. Barrios, kind of doing Barrios things.
Inconsistent, but yeah, exactly. That's Barrios things.
Gausman bouncing back, and Chris Bassett, one of the biggest bounce backs so far this season. But Francis is the 2-start guy versus Boston versus Cleveland. 3? Does that sound right?
It's right. I mean, I think you can argue for 4, but I'm going to stick with 3. I'm using them. I'm absolutely using them.
Same. And yeah, if you stuck by Francis, good on you. Trevor Williams was getting by smoke and mirrors last year, and it hasn't been the same this year. He's got a 5.11 ERA versus the Mets at Cincinnati. He's just a guy I never trust. So he's not quite in the Patrick Corbin range, but he's essentially there. Like, just not a guy I ever really trust in my lineup. So I'm gonna go 0.
I agree. It sounds like the Piante, but
yeah,
sort of, yeah, that ilk. No, I'm going to go 0.
All right. Well, let's recap our grades for next week, the week of April 28th, 2025. Let's finish April strong, and then still a long, long way to go. So don't get discouraged.
We're not even at the quarter pole yet.
Your favorite term. All right. So the week of April 28th, 2025, we got Eduardo Rodriguez at 3, JP Sears 2, JT Ginn 1, AJ Smith-Shawver 0, Tomoyuki Sagano 2, Garrett Crochet 5, Shota Imanaga 5, Nick Martinez 1, Brady Singer 3, Tanner Bybee 3, Luis L. Ortiz 2, Herman Marquez 0, Bryce Wilson 0, Jack Flaherty 4, Reese Olson 3, Cole Reagans 5, Jack Kohanowitz 1, Edward Cabrera 0, Freddie Peralta 5, Bailey Ober 3, Chris Paddock 0, Griffin Canning 3, David Peterson 2, Will Warren I say 2, Todd 1, Andrew Heaney I say 2, Todd 3, Nick Pavetta 5, Logan Webb 5, Andre Payante 1, Taj Bradley 3, Patrick Corbin 0, Jacob deGrom I say 5, Todd 4, Bowden Francis 3, and then Trevor Williams 0. I know the NFL draft has captured a lot of people's attention this weekend, but I want to thank everyone for being with us today and all your insights as always, Todd. Anything else on your mind today?
If you happen to be paying attention to the draft, I mean, we got you. We're not going to have you this weekend in baseball, but I'm glad you're listening to the podcast. Eric and I will be on MLB Network Radio. They're covering the draft on the Fantasy Channel. Understand why, it is what it is. So,
of course.
Eric and I will be with you tomorrow on the MLB Network Radio.
Yeah, we'll be grinding it out on MLB for many months to come. So we're not going anywhere. And again, just keep grinding. It's amazing how much things can change still too. I was off to a bad start in one league, had a great day, and then you're right up near the top of the standings. So things can still change in a hurry.
The thing I like to say is look at the MLB standings. Do you see some weird things? You do. And that's because players on teams, if the MLB standings are weird, fantasy standings are going to be weird because players doing things are not expected and others aren't doing things. So those don't settle for a little while.
Well, really appreciate it. Great stuff. And thank you all for being with us. Hope you'll join us next week. We'll be back on Friday here on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by Vivid Seats.